Okay, we got people coming in.
We got some people.
Hello, everyone.
Middleton Street has their
Oh,
conference room set up.
hello,
That's
guys. Good to
awesome.
see you. All right, let's jump in the chats. Where's everybody at? Let's see where's everybody's coming from.
Miami.
Right now, where am I? The beach, somewhere, California.
a,
Where am I today? I don't know.
pro a proper place to record a webinar.
It
Yes.
is the perfect place. I'm sitting in my office in South Jordan, Utah. Got my air conditioner fixed. Yesterday, my AC went out, 90 degrees in my office.
Little sauna.
It
They
was
say sauna is healthy, so
yeah, only followed by a cold plunge.
true. That
Yeah,
is true.
yes. Indiana, Indianapolis, Portland, Mississippi. Awesome. Let's just give everybody a few minutes to filter in here a little bit.
In the meantime, we're pulling up all of our slides and
Okay.
should be all set. Okay.
Perfect. All right, a couple more minutes. Let everybody get in here.
Let's do it.
How
Let's
sunburned
see.
are you, Jordan?
I'm pretty good.
Are you pretty good? Is it
Well,
tanned over yet? Have you lost your skin?
no, I'm good. Nice, healthy glow. Let's put it that way. We'll leave it that
There
way.
you go.
The kids, that's another story.
They're cooked. They're cooked.
Yes, they are cooked. All right. Okay, what are we at? Three after? Should we give them till five? Or are we gonna, should we just get ready and should we roll? We'll let people on in. Um, but I
Yeah,
think
let's just do it.
we have a
Let's
lot of
do it.
content to cover, so I think we really want to jump in here and get started as I'm going through all the awesome stuff that Leor's prepared for us. We've got a lot of ground to cover and,
True.
and not a ton of time. We want to be respectful of your time and get you guys back to your workday, but we're happy that you have joined us and we're excited to have you here with us. And quick, by way of introductions, my name is Jordan Pine with Property Management University. So it's shameless plug time. We're so happy to have the Blanket team and to be partnered with them to bring you this initiative. But PM University, Property Management University, we are your number one stop for online property management training via our dozens and dozens of free education, online education, paid as well as company campuses. And so we invite you to explore Property Management University and see if we have a solution for you and your teams. And then we've got on the call today is we have Jason Wolf with Utah Property Solutions and also the founder of Property Management University. So Property Management University is built by operators. We're operators for operators. Okay, so we're able to bring that contextual side as we are current operators in the business. And then also, of course, we have Leor and Blanket here. So I'm going to allow each of them to quickly introduce themselves, and then we'll get into it as we turn the time over to Leor and Blanket. So, Jason, go ahead real quick if you want to give us a little intro.
Yeah. Great. Thanks. Appreciate it, Jordan. Jason Wolf, as Jordan mentioned, I am an operator. I've been in real estate and property management for about 20 years. Officially started a property management company about 11 years ago. Still actively have an SFR company, and about a year ago, jumped into the education side of things because it was something that we were really lacking in my own company. I felt like that there is a big training gap in our industry. I feel like it's underserved. And so we're excited about our mission, and that's bringing up-to-date property management training to the SFR space. And we're really excited about our strategic partnerships that we're developing with people out there. We don't claim to know everything. That's, I mean, from an operational side, I know where we've bloodied our knuckles and got a few fat lips along the way. But that's why these partnerships are so very important to us. And so excited, Lior, to work with you and your team. You guys are amazing. The stuff that you're building is incredible. You've been an industry leader for a long time, and we're excited to go over this owner experience management with you.
Likewise, Jason. And I think for everyone to know that the whole story of this entire webinar series and this course really started as just me and Jason were talking about what's happening in the industry, what's missing, what's the gaps, and like where's the focus has been for the last, I would say, couple of decades or so. And really when we understood that there's a significant gap in what we're going to talk about today, we said we have to do something about it. We have to do something about it, gather all the knowledge, all the experience, all the data that we've gathered in Blanket, which is a platform that is focused on the owner experience. And we are an owner experience platform as we identify ourselves, and that connects everything in our mission. What are we focusing on from a technology perspective? The focus, what are we curious about? What are we passionate about? And it ties perfectly into my experience. I started as an investor. I bought my first rental property when I was about 19 years old. I bought it from Israel. So to the folks who don't know, if you hear my weird accent, that comes from an Israeli accent. And the first property that I actually bought was from there, 1,000 miles away, trusting some agent I don't even know. Really, God knows what I was thinking, but it's probably one of those things that you can do when you're young, brave, and maybe a little bit stupid, but thank God I did. Still hold on to that property. It's a rental, single-family rental property in Atlanta, Georgia. Was working amazingly throughout all the years and really got me into this space. And fast forward from there, I served in the Israeli Navy for almost 9 years as a naval commander, really built me for what I am today and taught me a lot of the stuff that I implement and am passionate about, which is leadership, empowerment, teamwork, and really trying to today to take all those lessons and really implement in everything we're doing at Blanket. Kept doing real estate throughout that time. When I was in the Navy, helped a lot of my fellow naval officers to also buy properties in the United States from Israel. And then I started working for a build-to-rent operator in the US, started as their head of acquisitions, quickly promoted to vice president of business development, and oversaw our entire operation in the United States, where we had a very unique model there. The unique model was where every client that we would sell a property to, because we were building new construction properties, full-blown communities, master plan communities, and then we were selling those properties on a one-off basis to every investor, to every buyer. Now, normally these were out of state or literally foreign investors from across the world, not only from Israel, but pretty much across the world. And these folks needed someone to manage their property. We weren't the property manager. So naturally, we formed a lot of partnerships, local partnerships with a lot of property managers, a lot of the clients that we have today that I worked with 15 years ago. And the unique model that we had is that every client that we sold a property to and connected to a partner of ours, a local property manager, we would also keep managing the relationship with that owner on behalf of the property manager. So things like meeting with them on a quarterly or an annual basis, creating them a pro forma, updating their spreadsheet, talking about the performance of their properties, asking them what are their goals, what are they planning for next year. Do they want to buy more properties? Do they want to sell off some properties? Do they need to improve their cash flow in a certain way? And we were really sort of like this asset manager in between the property manager who's managing the property and the client, the owner. And throughout that time, I had the experience of working with thousands of property owners, typical mom and pop owners, you know, the ones and twosies who have one property, 2, 3, maybe 5. And really, I felt it on my body, all the things that didn't work. Everything that didn't work from a communication perspective, the unmet expectations, the unrealistic expectations that we all know that some owners have, right? They think that real estate is perfect. There are no issues. Like every property is rented on day one and there are no evictions. There are no issues. You don't need to invest any additional money in the property. Of course, like that's the real estate.
Easy game, right? Easy game.
Easy, no issues at all. And like that whole experience of working with so many different nationalities, different perspectives, different expectations really taught me everything I need to know about what's working and what's not working on this thing called the owner to property manager relationship, or as we call it today, the owner experience. And really all the things that didn't work for me, were this frustration that was building up, that things that I needed, tools that I was lacking, really led to the birth of Blanket. And Blanket today is the owner experience platform that really covers the entire client lifecycle. And this is something we're going to talk about today. What is that client lifecycle? How does it look? Which stages that it have? And this is really today what we're going to cover is what is this course also is all about? Like, how are we taking all that information and knowledge that I had from my personal experience and from Blanket's experience into practice? So I'm super, super excited to introduce and to kick off the Owner Experience Management webinar series, which is the sort of like little taste, little peek into what the actual course would actually include in it. So let's dive in. So first of all, in this series, I think it's important to cover what are we going to go through, not only in this webinar episode, but also in the next other two webinars. So we're starting today with, call it an introductory webinar, really understanding what is this course is all about, giving a little bit of a taste of some of the things we're going to cover in the course, go a little bit in detail, but not too much. And then webinar number 2 that will take place on August 18. Clay would maybe correct me if we have a change in dates, but the plan is somewhere about August 18. This will be a sales dedicated webinar that would also cover the things we will talk about in the course. And this is a perfect opportunity to invite all the team members that are responsible for sales, whether that will be you as the company owner who just started out his business, whether that will be your BDMs, other sales reps, real estate sales people, maybe you have some brokerage department that you're also operating, or anyone who's doing sales, right? From even marketing coordinators as well that are in charge to feed the pipeline that the salespeople are taking care of. So this is webinar number 2. Webinar number 3 will be focused on the property management teams. So this is for anyone who is in charge of onboarding, retention of clients, termination of clients, unfortunately, but that's part of the game. So here, the property managers, the portfolio managers, the assistant property managers, anybody who's in charge of the owner/tenant relations. When you think about it, all these webinars are meant for the owner/client facing roles. Anybody who talks with the client, anybody who conveys or manages process on behalf of clients and has emails going back and forth, calls, texts, you name it, this is for you. So each webinar will focus on each role or each team. And today we're starting really from the high level to understand what is this course is all about? What is this webinar? So
real quickly,
ahead,
I just want to jump in there real fast. Just a couple of quick housekeeping things. If you are in this webinar now, you are automatically registered for the subsequent webinar. So the second one on August 18th, and then the third webinar is August 25th, and that is posted in the chat right there. So just a last minute typo. It happens if you guys have ever done something like this. And yes, I just want to reiterate that this is for anybody that's client facing. If you have employees that touch clients, there's something here for you.
100%, 100%. And I would say even more than that, I would invite everyone to not feel even obligated or in pressure to even do the course or whatever. I promise you that within each session here, there will be enough insights and ideas to just brainstorm even internally and even already start implementing stuff just from these webinars. The webinars are the sort of like introductory opportunity to touch a little bit of what we're talking about the course. The course would really give you the know-how and the tools, but I promise you that by the end of this webinar, if you come out without any insights or without any ideas that you can already implement or get excited about implementing in your business, then we probably did something wrong. So this is my promise to you to provide us with some insights by the end. So with that in mind, what are we going to talk about today? Number 1, we're going to understand what is the client lifecycle. What stages are part of the client lifecycle, and why is it also important to think in client lifecycle instead of processes or stages? Because if there is no connection and a unified experience throughout the entire client lifecycle, this is where things break. This is where expectations are not met. This is where things can go wrong. You think there was something mentioned, the client thinks differently, and this is where really things can go sideways. So just the shift in mindset of looking at every client throughout his life cycle and not just focusing on each stage separately, that would already give you a much more interesting way of looking at where is the opportunity, where is there more revenue to be made, and where there is also more actions that we can take that will give us a little bit of peace of mind, right? Because if we make sure that the life cycle experience as a whole is good, that means less headaches, less phone calls of angry clients, and less things that go wrong. And this is really where I believe the biggest opportunity is at. We would also talk about what great looks like at every stage, because the entire life cycle is the overarching, I would say, perspective. But in each stage, there are different things that will make it best or worse, depending on how you look at it from that experience. Number two, we will also talk about personalization. And if there is one word that I want you to really take with you throughout the entire webinar today, is that personalization, okay? And to really unpack that word and understand what it means and why is it important, we're going to talk about the three client types or the three owner types that we have normally that we're working with: the intentional investor, the unintentional investor, and the accidental landlord, and how each of them thinks, right? What is important for each and every one, because they're not born the same. They have very, very different characteristics, very different set of expectations, and normally really operate differently. And that covers a lot of things, and we're going to touch upon that today. Number three, we're going to unpack the course. We're going to understand how the course is built, what roles are relevant, what the certification represents that is part of the completion of the course, and how to enroll the team and how to go through that entire part. And now, also for something very interesting, we've been thinking a lot about how can we make this entire course way more easy to implement, because there's a lot. There's a lot in the course to cover, to talk about, and it might feel a little bit overwhelming at first. Like, how am I taking all this information and implementing it in my business? So we wanted to make it a little bit easy and to think what can be the sort of like special bonus offers that we can offer as part of this course that will make the entire experience for you as the company that's going to implement these things a lot easier. So there will be two bonus offers that we're going to reveal at the end of this webinar. One is from Blanket and one is from Property Management University. One is a software tool. The other one is the education that will make it a lot more easier for your team. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the webinar. So stay tuned. Let's dive in. The first thing we're going to cover is the macroeconomic perspective or overview of the industry that we're in. What's going on in property management today? What has changed, and how does that impact us as property managers, and why it's even relevant? Okay, because things are changing and they're changing fast. We feel it on the operational metrics. We feel that on the sales metrics. It's everywhere. And understanding why things happen is super, super important to be able to actually do something about it. So let's start with a quick overview of the industry. Today, depending on the source you read, but there are roughly 15 million single-family rental homes in the United States. Out of those 15 million single-family rental homes, estimations say that about 36% are professionally managed by third-party property managers. The rest is your DIY folks, the folks who are managing themselves, who God knows what they were thinking and managing themselves, but it's their choice. So it is a very interesting observation to, number one, understand that only a third of the properties are professionally managed, and understand why is that even an opportunity, but also to understand the trend of this percent. Because 5 years ago, it was 31%. So the trend is actually shifting. The reason for that is rooted in a lot of issues and a lot of causes. Number one, regulation. Regulation just goes and becomes a lot more complicated. In some states more, some states less, but regulation makes it very, very difficult and scary for a lot of owners to manage their properties. Plus, most property owners, it's not necessarily their 9 to 5 job. They have a different one. So the properties they're managing are a burden in many cases, especially if they're not professional, they don't know how to manage those properties. And this is something that we can press on. These little instances and understandings of the dynamic of the psychology of the intentions and intent, this is something that we can use in our marketing to talk to these people that maybe are at that crossroads where they're thinking to themselves, why am I doing this? This is too hard. I need someone professional to help me, right? Another interesting stat that is important to understand, and everybody here probably read the news about Wall Street taking over Main Street and all the big funds coming in and taking all the homes, from everyone. Need to put some things into perspective. Number one, this is one of the most populist, I would say, things that politicians can do. It's like, let's blame it on something without even understanding the data. But the data is important. Only 3% of all the single-family rental homes are owned by institutional players. Now, there are some markets where the percentage or the share of single-family rentals in that area is way bigger than 3%. For example, Atlanta, Georgia, market with a significant presence of institutional players. Dallas, Texas, same thing. But overall, countrywide, 3% only is owned by institutional players. So that means the vast majority of the market, 97%, is owned by mom and pop investors, folks who have between 1 to 2 properties. The share of folks who have between 5 to 50, which is what is called the sophisticated investors, not the institutional ones, is like 6%, 6 to 8%. So the vast majority of the are folks who have 1 to 2 properties. And this tells us a lot about the big opportunity in this market, because most of the folks who are our potential clients, they need that help. Now, the question is, are they manage it themselves, or are they really at that crossroads where they need help, or maybe they're not there yet? Understanding that psychology and market share and market segment is super important for all of our marketing efforts, okay? So another thing that is important to talk about here, if we take all these stats and we try to understand the players in the market, or where are there other gaps that are important for me as a property manager to know, the biggest one, which is going to be the segue for our next topic, is the lack of a professional investment manager function in our industry. Single-family rentals is an asset class, the same as multifamily, the same as industrial, the same as office, many asset classes in the real estate industry. So if you look at every one of the other asset classes that is not single-family, and you ask an investor in those asset classes, who do you invest with? Or how do you invest? They will always say some form of a professional investment manager. It will either be a REIT, it will either be a fund, a syndication operator, but there will always be a professional investment manager in between. Now, is that something that is also relevant for single family? No. Most of our clients don't have a professional advisor to really guide them through their journey when we think about it. The only one who can actually fill that gap is us, their property manager. And the funny thing is the fact that this asset class, the single family rental asset class, most of its owners are the least sophisticated ones. These are not your industrial office investors. These are your mom and pop investors who have no clue what cap rate, cash on cash flow is. They have no clue, should they sell, should they buy, should they renovate, what they should do. They're stressed, a lot of emotions, right? So the least sophisticated people, the ones that need the guidance the most, have none of it. And this is a very interesting understanding, because then we need to look at ourselves as the property manager and understand that, at least as I see it, there's a calling here. One of the reasons that I got into real estate, by the way, is because of my grandparents. My grandparents came from Ukraine to Israel, no pension plan because it was the Soviet Union, and they had nothing to rely on when they would come into age. And the thing that I learned from a very young age is that real estate is a nice way to retire. You wouldn't necessarily get rich from it, but it can be somewhat of a retirement plan. And this is the main reason that I got into real estate, which is to take care of my grandparents. And this is what drives me every day and is the big why behind everything I do. And my grandparents are just an example of a lot of people who need someone to guide them, to not make mistakes, to not buy a property in the worst area possible where it's a matter of a couple of months before it will be vacated, before it will be trashed, before anything, and then the entire investment goes to waste. So these people need someone to guide them. So that is an important understanding for us today, is that our clients or our potential clients really need someone to guide them. It doesn't have to be something elaborate, it doesn't have to be something complicated, but they need someone to guide them, to tell them what's wrong, what's right, and be that light for them. So what changed in the sort of like options that owners have? What changed in their perception? What changed in how they operate in today's world versus the world that we were in 10 years ago? Okay. So let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the main thing that we as property managers were compared to was always other property managers. Today, there are other options, and we have to acknowledge that. Today, there are different software platforms for do-it-yourself landlord that make it very easy for you to actually manage your property, from rent collection to maintenance coordination to a lot of stuff. And really, that is something that we need to understand, that today the alternatives that our clients have are not just the other property managers. Another thing that they're thinking about, especially in today's world, is selling their property, right? We know that it's a seasonal market, things change, and sometimes people need that cash. And selling a rental property sometimes might be the better option, but sometimes it wouldn't work. And sometimes they will be stuck with it, and they will need someone to actually help them to park the property for a couple of years, right? So understanding these motivations is really important for us to understand how we can also market to these people. What do they expect? So in the previous world, as I call it, mainly collect the rent and take care of the issues. But today, in the sort of like digital world where we are used to having apps for our stock trading, for our bank account, where we need more, we want more data as consumers, we want more transparency, we want more guidance, we want more insights, we want more proactive guidance and recommendations. This is where most of our clients are at today. Whether they're boomers, Gen Zers, everyone today in the digital world expect more of that transparency and more of that proactive guidance. Why do these potential clients leave? So in the previous world, it was mainly if we dropped the ball on something, we did something wrong, the service was provided. But today, it is a little bit more complicated on why owners leave. Number one, for the property managers who didn't adopt this sort of like owner client focused mindset, there are no switching costs. Like, what prevents an owner today to just say, you know what, I'll just leave in 30 days and I'm out. I'll just leave to another property manager. What's holding me back? Am I going to lose something? Maybe a little bit of headache, maybe a little bit of emails, maybe a little bit of communications, but like, what am I going to lose if I move from here to here? In most cases, that is nothing. And that, go ahead, Jason.
Just real fast, that we see this a lot, especially when they just, once you place the resident. So they place it and then they leave. And
exactly,
they found the value in just placing the tenant.
And this is where I think there's a lot of room for discussion. What are we missing? Are we not offering additional value that makes it harder to switch? It makes it harder to leave? This is the big question behind everything, because today, if you think about it, as property managers, we're technically all doing the same. We might be doing it faster, we might be doing it a little bit better, but from a value perspective, are we offering more value? Okay, so this is something we're going to talk about today, which is the difference between doing just something better versus doing something additional that is of value. And this is the thing that adds to those switching costs. What earns loyalty in the previous world was being responsive. If I ask any question, I hope that you answer, hopefully in a reasonable time. Today, it's about being proactive. Okay, because the entire world outside of property management is very proactive. Your bank account app gives you sort of like updates, do this, check this, there is some kind of an unusual activity here. Like a lot of the things surface up before you even have the chance to get frustrated about them. That's the consumer experience today in most of the industries. In our industry, we're still way more reactive than proactive. And a lot of it has to do not because we're bad at our job, but just because we lack the data. If we don't have the knowledge of why things happen, the true root cause of why things happen, and not just symptoms, then how can we actually be proactive? So we're sort of like stuck in this position. But if we had that data, this is where we can really get ahead of problems and be in control of our destiny. Last thing, what wins doors? In the previous world is being local and available. You are the local real estate expert. You know how to rent that property. Jason, as you said, you can lease that property for me and then like, that's it. I can go away, right? Where's the additional value there? So in today's world, what wins new doors is being client focused and more than just a rent collector. And here I want to share a little bit of a little stat that was recently published in the Property Management Industry Report. There was a question there of what services are you as an owner are willing to pay extra for? There were a number of services there. The one at the top that 51% of owners said they're willing to pay more for is asset management services. Now here we need to ask ourselves, what does that mean? Because I know a lot of folks when they hear asset management if somebody tells them like you need to be an asset manager, we probably envision like this buttoned up Wall Street guy trading stocks on the trade floor, right? This like, it's a different thing than what we know or what we think is even connected to our industry. But I want to demystify something here. What does an asset manager do? An asset manager does three main things. And this is what I was doing. Acquisitions, dispositions, and optimization of the portfolio. Now, I want to let you sort of like think to yourself, if you are doing brokerage, right? Whether on a standardized scale or like here and there, you're helping clients buy and sell properties. Does it mean you're doing acquisitions as well? Does it mean you're doing dispositions as well? Yes. Now I'll ask another question. Are you helping your clients optimize their properties by renovating them? Because when you renovate a property, theoretically, you can increase the rent. You can lower a lot of the unexpected maintenance costs that were happening before the renovation, right? So in essence, we may not be doing it on a standardized scale or an institutional scale, but as property managers, we're doing significant pieces of what an asset manager is doing. And then the question is, what is the difference, right? So there are a couple of things that are still missing in how we're doing things. A lot of it has to do, again, with the data that we have in our hands or not, and how can we make decisions that are based off of that data. So technically, the difference is in the ownership type. The asset managers that we think about when we envision that fund and that syndication operator or that REIT, this is a fractional ownership model, which means there is a general partner that manages the fund, and there are limited partners, which are the investors, right? So they get quarterly reports, they have annual calls talking about their strategy. Do they want to allocate more funds? Do they want to exit or things like that, right? In property management, we are technically the investment managers, but it's just a different ownership type. It's a direct ownership model. There are no GPs or LPs. We're not owning part of the properties that we manage for our clients. They own everything. But we technically are the only person that is in charge of the ongoing performance of the property because there is no asset manager, as we talked about it. There is no professional investment manager in between. So theoretically, we are the asset managers. We might not think that way. Our clients might not think that way. But in essence, we're doing a lot of what an asset manager will do. So why is this important? Because this really sets the stage for the next part. And the next part is really the connection between this understanding of what asset management is in our industry and what is missing in our industry. And what's missing in our industry is what is called in every other industry a client success function. Okay? In almost every other industry, there is a department. There's a client success department. There's a client success manager, client success rep, that all they do is focus on what are the problems of our clients, what are the solutions that we can implement, and how do we use data to do it at scale. When you think about it, the same way a customer success manager will find problems in their clients' accounts, an asset manager will find problems in the portfolio. The same way a client success manager will solve those problems for their clients and think about upselling them and generating more revenue from that account, the same way as a property manager, I can help my clients solve a lot of their problems. And by doing so, I can generate more revenue. For example, one little example, if my client has a property that's underperforming, negative cash flow, a lot of issues that can't be solved, sometimes the best solution is to tell them, okay, there's not much we can do here. Let's just sell this property and buy a different one. 1031 exchange, switch this property into a better one with less issues and headaches, better rent, better appreciation potential. And by doing so, I'm getting the commission, maybe from both sides, if I can represent both sides in my state. I'm maybe getting a property that's going to yield a higher rent and a higher revenue per unit. So by solving problems, we can actually generate more revenue. And this is one of the main important things that if we understand that asset management is client success, then we understand that as a company that implements this mindset of focusing on the client, we can actually generate more revenue and increase each of our client lifecycle values, which is how much revenue we're generating from every client across their lifecycle. Okay, so this is the shift that we're talking about. Moving from a vendor mindset, from a service provider mindset to a trusted advisor mindset. You can replace the trusted advisor words here with asset manager, with client success manager, you name it. But in essence, it's that trusted party that guides our clients that need that guidance the most through their entire life cycle to really help them make the best decisions possible. And this really signals this shift that shows us that service quality is no longer the differentiator. We cannot say something like, we will rent your property better, or we will lease it faster, and that will be the main thing that will keep them with us. No, because other things can go wrong, right? The only thing that is the most continuous effort that leads to ROI is the management of the experience. If we are client-focused, if we are providing proactive updates, if we're solving problems for our clients, and if we are saying that, as we started with the understanding that real estate is not perfect and things will break, if we will tell our clients, listen, here are all the things that can go wrong. This is not going to be easy. There are going to be things that will not happen as expected. There will be some money that will be lost. There will be some money that you'll need to invest in this property. And there will be, surprises that would make you stressed. But the main thing and the main promise that I can give you is that I will be there to handle it. And if there is someone who handles that entire life cycle for them, for whatever happens, this is the biggest and the strongest promise ever than just we would rent it faster, because days on market are limited also by market forces. You can have a great process in place, but sometimes it wouldn't be that fast, right? So this is a very, very important shift as we're going into this. What are the differences? Let's go over it quickly because we talked a little bit about this in the examples. So what is the focus of a traditional property manager? It's mainly operations and execution. What is the focus of a performance manager, an asset manager, a trusted advisor? Is outcomes. It's a difference between tasks, and this comes to the second line here. The core question is, did we complete the work versus how did the work impact the property? Okay, because only completing tasks can get you a certain way. The impact of those tasks, this is the things that owners would feel. Did it really fix the issue? For example, we might look at an owner with a property that's negative cash flow, losing money every month, and is stressed as hell every month because he's losing and he has to pay more on his mortgage, etc. Now, we might not know as his property manager that he actually has a mortgage in place, okay? But we do know that he had some kind of a, let's say, a water heater that broke down and he had a big expense, a $3,000 expense. So he's calling, stressed out, I'm losing money on this property. And we think that the main problem is that water heater. But that's just a symptom. The actual issue is the fact that the property is not a good investment property. And the fact that we solved that water heater problem, we fixed it and everything is good, we think that we might solve the problem, but in essence, the problem continues. The owner is still stressed because his property is not performing well and is losing money every month. So he might churn and decide to sell that property either way, but we think we solved the problem. So this is why it's important in this understanding of the differences is that there is tasks completed and there is the impact of the tasks completed, which is a very important distinction. Number 3, communication. The traditional property manager, more reactive, more task-based. The performance manager is more proactive, more insight-driven. Looking at the data, this is what I understand, here's what I recommend. And this is these are the pros and cons of this decision. I'm not saying you have to ask owners for approval. Never do that. And we all know here how crazy that can get. But if you can share the reasoning behind this decision, if you can share the data behind this decision and tell them the risks of it and the potential impact, that creates trust. One of the things I'll give here is a story from the company that I was working at, that built-to-rent operator. We were selling hundreds of properties per month, hundreds. So this is almost like 1,000 potentially calls every month of sales calls. And I was in charge of our sales team. And the thing I always told them to do is to not sell. Scare the client as much as possible. Tell them everything that's going to break. Tell them everything that's going to go wrong. Tell them everything. And, my entire sales team was like, why? We want commissions, right? Like it's the opposite of what we need to do. And I told them, trust me, try it. And what happened after that was magical. People were signing contracts before they even saw the property that we're talking about, because by sharing the truth, by sharing the actual reality, not trying to paint a rosy picture, they created trust. And trust is the biggest thing here, because for most cases, these people own probably their most valuable asset in their life. So there's a lot of emotions there. So they are more interested, whether they know it or not, in having someone they can trust versus someone who can rent the property faster, if that makes sense. Number 4, success metrics. The traditional property manager, occupancy, collections, etc. The performance manager looks at owner retention, net operating income, portfolio growth. Okay. Now, some folks are listening and maybe saying to themselves, but hey, I don't know what NOI is, what cap rate is. Don't be stressed about it. If you can talk at least about appreciation and cash flow, you're already doing way more than other property managers probably in your market, because you're showing the full picture of what happens. You're showing the full picture sometimes in situations where the owner is thinking to himself, oh man, I lost $100 this month and this is the end of the world, but their property appreciated by $200,000 in the last 5 years, right? And suddenly it's like, okay, maybe it's not that bad, right? And like that little data point of like appreciation changes the entire picture. So don't be scared when you're thinking to yourself, oh, performance manager, asset manager, what? I need to now control all the investment metrics and KPIs? No. And you will see that in the course that we wouldn't talk about even one KPI or investment performance metric throughout the entire course, and you would still be able to do it. Okay.
All right. Shameless plug, Lior. We actually have a professional track on thinking like an investor that teaches the basics of IRR, cash on cash return, NOI, get you a good foundation.
100%. That's like really the next level. If you do want to take it to the next level, you can. But to really make this change, you don't have to. You can already generate impact in your business even without controlling all those metrics by heart. And we'll see that. Lastly, again, as we said, the client relationship for the traditional property manager was a service provider type of a relationship. Here, we're more of a trusted advisor. Think about your, a stockbroker, think about your wealth manager, think about your trusted advisor, your tax accountant, your tax professional, right? These are people that in many cases, whatever they say, because you have no clue in what they're doing, you're like, okay, whatever you said, thank you. That's it. So this is the type of relationship that we can actually instill in our clients. Now moving
Leon,
on, go
jump in
ahead.
real quick. I think what I love about this is I think asset management has been a big sexy term that we've been hearing in our industry for the last 2, 3 years. And everyone, hey, you need to market yourself. You need your website to say, I'm an asset manager. We need to sell it. We are. But I don't think a lot of folks know what that actually means. We're just doing it in name only, saying, hey, I'm an asset manager. But what this does is bridge that gap to show you how to actually be an asset manager. And truly, it's those people. We're in the people business. It's those
Exactly.
relationships. This is how we bridge that gap, and so you can actually feel confident saying, yes, we are asset managers because we can do this. And now you've got some backing, and you understand how to really push that home without just putting it as a badge that you wear that I'm an asset manager, but I really didn't change my actions or how we behave. I love this, that it gives us the support to understand, hey, this is what I need to do to actually become a true asset manager.
100%. And I would say most of the people here, you guys, you're already somewhat of an asset manager. As we said, if you're doing acquisitions and dispositions, which is buying and selling, if you're helping your clients optimize their properties, that's it. Those are the three main functions that an asset manager is doing. There's of course a lot more that you can do in each one of those three categories, but that's it. And this is how you also convey that to clients that ask. If you are wanting to rebrand yourself to more of an asset manager, this is how you explain what does it mean and what are the services that come with that. But I think beyond that there is a middle ground. Maybe you don't feel comfortable with the term asset manager or the rebrand or whatever. Maybe you think it's too much. The thing that is, I would say, the most common ground, and this is what we are doing in this course, is client success. And this is why the certifications, we're going to talk about them as well in a second. This is why they're also called like that. They're not a asset management certification. Okay. And this is really where it's really going to sink in. So let's go over the 6-stage owner experience life cycle. And this is a typical life cycle of every client in whatever industry that is. Marketing, this is where our potential client is in the lead stage. Sales, this is where it's a prospect and we convert it. Onboarding, this is when that prospect turned into a client. And retention, this is the ongoing management. And this is the part that can, be 10 years of a stage, 20 years, and maybe just 1 year. But this stage is a stage of itself that has specific processes, specific KPIs, and specific things we need to focus on. After the retention, or woven into the retention stage, is the expansion stage, where we work on expanding the account, or in other words, we're working on generating more revenue from the account. Okay, and we'll talk about in the course exactly how that's done. Is it just by increasing fees? No, there is no part where we talk about increasing fees, and still you'll see how you can double the revenue from every account. And lastly, it's termination. Termination is a stage by itself, and we need to treat it as such. We need to treat it as a process because there's a lot of value that can be harvested from the termination. If we look at termination as just this, thing that happens to us, instead of something that we control, we lose a lot of insights into what we can improve in our business that will directly impact how much revenue we're generating in our business. But also, the termination itself can be a revenue opportunity. Think about an order that says, I'm frustrated, I'm done, I want to leave. And you ask them, why do they want to leave? Because maybe the property is not doing well. And maybe then the understanding from that is that, yes, this property is a bad investment property. You should sell it. And suddenly, you got a seller lead. You got a listing that you can sell and get the commission from. So suddenly the termination turns into actual revenue, not indirectly, not potentially, on the spot. Okay. And I think the most important thing to understand when we're thinking about the customer life cycle is that each stage impacts the following one and impacts the entire life cycle. The way you do your onboarding, if it looks like just a task list that needs to be completed, and there's no personalization, there's no game plan, there's no asking of what are your goals, dear client? Where can we help? What is success considered for you, right? If it's going to be just that, then again, there will be no switching costs. The client would think to himself, at the first thing, that goes wrong, okay, I'll go to the other one. Like that's it. It's that easy. So it's very important to understand that each stage impacts the other. What great looks like at each stage, and we're going to run through that fast because we touched a little bit of that in the previous discussions. During the marketing stage, the right clients book calls with us. And we all know that we get these clients that we probably regret every second of actually deciding to work with them. Everybody experiences that, okay? So like think about how much money is wasted on dealing with these clients, how much stress they cause to our team members, how much issues they cause. And in many cases, we don't quantify that, but it's money lost. The wrong client can cost us more money than they generate. If we think about it, if we actually do an analysis into it. So great in the marketing stage is attracting the right owners. And the way to do that is by speaking their language. The way to do it is by understanding their psychology, their intent, their needs, the gap that needs to be filled for them. Okay, and we're going to talk about that as well. During the sales stage, what does great look like? The sales call, if it's more of a diagnostic call versus just here's our services, this is our pricing, do you want to work with us? This is the difference between great and meh. Like this is all it is. The best sales calls are the ones that the salesperson is barely talking, mainly asking questions. So if you can really lead sales calls by asking questions, understanding the motivation, understanding the problems, understanding the expectations, understanding the fit, you'll be able to, first of all, not work with the detractors, with the ones that are taking a lot of our money and time, and instead work only with the ones that would actually generate a lot of revenue and I would say peace of mind to our company. Okay. And by doing that, by the way, the close, if you're doing that diagnostic type of a call, the close will feel the most seamless thing ever. It wouldn't feel like we're trying to convince them. It would feel like they are actually asking us, where do I sign?
Yeah.
Right. Number 3, onboarding. When the first 30 days, especially the first 30 days, but sometimes the onboarding process can take longer, really feels like the start of a strategic relationship, but not that task list that we talked about, not just paperwork, right? That we're running through and doing everything, but clear expectations, clear milestones, clear goals, and a lot of personalization as we talked about it. This is what creates the win. During the retention stage, the main thing that turns this stage into great is when we can be proactive. When we can identify churn before it happens, because in many cases, when it happens, it's too late to save it. The decision has been made. If potentially this owner is trying to sell his property, might already contacted a different agent, and we wouldn't even get the commission on that property by selling it. So like the main thing here is to be proactive. The way to do that, this is what we're going to talk about in the course, the exact playbook, the exact process that you can implement in your business and really be ahead of any churn that happens. Expansion, this is where I told you that it's not about price increase. It's referrals that clients can send us. It's brokerage opportunities, 1031 conversations, and in general, portfolio growth, right? If we know that a lot of our clients are sitting on a lot of equity and have a lot of cash flow generated from their properties, we can actually generate a lot of revenue from that. Termination, same thing. Notices become revenue and referrals. If we control that process, we can actually generate more revenue from that. And if someone is leaving because they are selling the property, what if we're selling that property to one of our clients? We're retaining the unit, getting the commission, and that's a huge win for us. Now I'm going to run through the 3 owner personas because we're almost on time and we want to talk about the course. So we got 3 client types. We got the intentional investor, the person that came with the mindset of, I want to invest in real estate. I'm doing it for the purpose of generating ROI and income. And the unintentional investor, on the other end, is the one who turned or wants to be the intentional investor, but started as an accidental one. And the accidental one, as we know, this is someone who inherited their property or had to relocate and decided to not say goodbye to that 2.5% more interest rate, right? It's too bad to say goodbye to that. And they became a landlord. So these are the three personas that we're really going to dive in multiple times throughout the course. We're going to see exactly at every stage of the client lifecycle how to make them click a button to actually turn them into a lead, how to close them and move them from lead to prospect to client, and how to work with them in the business. And there's a lot of interesting opportunities here. When the last chapter of our course is real life case studies of each and every one, which is going to be fascinating. As we said, the intentional investor, they are interested in portfolio returns, metrics, KPIs, strategic guidance, and things like that. The unintentional investor, the main thing to know about them, they want to learn. Okay, they're still scared. They're still not sure how to do things, but they want to be that investor. So if you can understand that intent of wanting to learn more, you can create amazing value for them. And the accidental landlord wants just peace of mind. Protect my home, make my heart feel, under control, and that everything is okay and I wouldn't get a heart attack, and that will make me happy. And now I'll pass the mic on to Jason. Jason, sorry, I took too much time. I talk too much. I know.
No, you're good. There's a lot of great information there. And so what we've done is Property Management University. We have a very strong curriculum team, instructional designers. A lot of people take content, they print it off on a PDF, a Word document, a PowerPoint. They use AI. And that's the extent of their education within their firm. And what we've done is our curriculum team and our instructional designers has taken all of that information that Lior just pumped into you in 45 minutes, broke it out into structured learning, okay? Something that's actually measurable with assessments, case studies. We've taken months to do it. Lior, you've done a fantastic job putting all of this stuff into a document that the team could work with. And we're really proud of it. So what we've done is we've created 3 what we call professional tracks. The first track is for broker owners. That's our target audience. It's the full. I won't get in. I want to be in the spirit of time. Let's see if we can get back there.
Sorry,
basically,
guys.
No, you're fine. So basically, there's 3 tracks, and each track has a different purpose. One of the things that Lior talked about is that I wanted to jump in, but I knew I'd have this opportunity. Your business development stage really sets the tone for what that client is going to expect, right? And so if we can train our front-facing salespeople, whether real estate, BDMs, anybody that's in sales marketing, your marketing messaging, if we can start speaking their language, that's only the first step. Then you have to deliver it. And I think that that's really where track 3, for property managers, those are the people that are interacting every day with your clients. They're communicating, like Lior mentioned, whether it's emails, texts, phone calls, whatever that communication style is. So collectively, these 3 tracks come together. The broker owner, the leadership track, is a full series of courses. And you can go to the next slide right there. I think this is a good illustration, Lior. And so these are the chapters or modules, whatever you choose to call them. But there's 10 modules, and we've broken them out into those 3 tracks that I've mentioned. But there's the broker owner, the biz development, and then the property manager. So what we're doing essentially is we took all of this knowledge, all of this mind shift that we're talking about to becoming a owner experience manager, and put them into these 3 tracks. And you can see right there that the broker owner has everything from market overview, performance maintenance 101, client lifecycle management, marketing, sales, onboarding, owner retention, expansion, termination, follows along the client lifecycle, and then the case studies. Business development has a few tracks that are not in, or a few modules that are not in there, and then the property management. Now, what we've done, and I want to try to keep this in the spirit of time because we have to get you your offer. So what we've done is we have created a certification, basically. And the way that this is broken out is for your BDMs, okay, when you complete that track, or your employees, they get the client success leader badge. This is something that can be shared in your signature block. You'll get a marketing kit with it, best practices on how to let your clients know that this is the mindset that your company operates in. The client success track is for leadership. Anybody that's in leadership, it's awarded to firm executives and solo business owners who complete the full course end to end. And then you have the client success firm, okay? And this is once you so you can take these tracks individually, which is fine, and you earn your badge and your certification. But as your company takes all three of them, then you're going to be given a client success firm, which means that each of those pillars within your firm has taken that education, and now your company gets a certification. What we do here is once you enroll your firm, you assign the professional track to whoever you want. So basically you route your team. They complete the tracks. They run through the simulations that Lior's talked about in the case studies, which are really exciting. I'm excited about those to see how that actually plays out. And then you earn your credentials, and then we send all of that information to you, like I said, with best practices. So that was very, very, very quick, but I'm trying to keep everybody on schedule, and I want to give some stuff away.
Yes. So quickly, what is the ROI of being a client-centric firm? Three main things, and there's no even need to elaborate on them. Lower churn, number one, more doors and higher customer lifetime value, and also a real career path. This is the missing function in our industry, that every employee can now get, every team member. As a company, we can even grow to that path. And this is something that I'm personally really excited about. Education, this is why I'm also so passionate about what Property Management University are doing. Education is one of my biggest passions, and I truly believe that through professional improvement, this is how we create strong teams and devoted teams that really lead to significant impact, not just in the business, but on people's lives. And we really are impacting people's lives. So as promised, the two bonus offers that are included. So from Blanket, and anybody who's on the call today, you guys are literally the first ones who are going to hear about this. Blanket was working very, very hard in the past year to build the first client-centric CRM, okay? Not workflow automation tools, not for leasing, not for tenant-centric processes, but a true client-focused CRM. And the cool thing about it is that it's completely AI native. It's built from scratch to be a fully automated CRM. It does the work for you. It literally brings you all the stuff you need, all the insights you need, generates the emails for you, creates the responses. All you have to do is just click approve, 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 approve if you want control of it. So if you are a Blanket client, or you want to get the CRM for free and you become a client, this is what you're going to get. Zero cost, full access if you're a Blanket client. And this is what we talked about at the beginning that is going to make the transition to a client-centric company way more easy, because it's literally going to do most of the hard work for you. Jason, what do we have from PMU?
Yeah, I just want everybody to know that I've had an opportunity to demo this CRM, and it's impressive. Like it's impressive, Lior. You guys have done a great job with it. At Property Management University, we custom build company campuses, what we call them, and it's your own white labeled campus, your own school. It's branded with your colors, your logo, and your custom courses. So we import our course library, even our paid products, we put in your company campus. And then we also build company-specific courses for you, such as SOPs, employee handbooks, core value training. We can build that training and track the employee progress with their training, give you all the analytics so that we can stay on top of their training, compliance, fair housing training, where you have a single dashboard where you can log in and see exactly where your employees stand with their training. And so we're offering $1,000 towards that.
Super, super important. And for those who don't know how to even get a hold of us, so correct me if I'm wrong, Clay, we got a link in the chat for scheduling a call with PMU and with Blanket, because you probably want to see what that is, what it means. So feel free to schedule some time with us. You'll see how everything works and decide if it's really something that is a fit for you. But again, I'm biased, like it is It is a CRM that we're going to actually use ourselves. Like we're gonna tear down our HubSpot and the CRM that we've built for many years and just use it ourselves. Like that's how much we're excited about it. So check it out and schedule a call. Now to the course enrollment. So there's a QR code right here. I hope that it works. It should work. All we have to do
Unless,
is
unless Clay changed it.
yeah, it should
It should
work. It
work.
should. Well, we tested it out, but sometimes, PDF export things can go wrong. So if anybody experiences any issues with actually getting in on the landing page, let us know. But all you have to do is scan the code, enroll your firm. Should take no more than 1 to 2 minutes. And immediately, as part of everything, you already have those free bonus giveaways. The moment you become a blanket client or a PMU client, you'll get those additional things. Last thing I want to cover again, the next 2 episodes that you're already enrolled into, bring your business development team for episode 2, bring your property management team for episode number 3, and we're going to dive a lot in more detail in those sections about sales and about retention. One quote that I want to take away from this, because as we said, this is the change from very focused per stage, very reactive view to something more holistic. And really, the opportunity here is not just to run more doors, it's to run the owner experience in such a deliberate way that it will impact everything in the business. It will lower churn, it will increase the revenue from every account, and create loyalty that is just a natural output and would really turn every lead into a loyal brand ambassador, someone that really talks about us in the best way possible. Time for questions. I know we're on time and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We trained on this episode, but one of the problems that I always have is talking too much. So I hope everyone is okay with that. But if you have any questions, please let us know. Everything is welcome.
Okay, and I'm looking at the chat. I don't think anything is in there yet. If you have any questions, we'll take a couple minutes for a couple questions. But one thing I don't think we mentioned though is the course and the certifications. This is free. We put a lot of effort
yes.
into this. We want to make sure that everybody has access to this. We want to change the industry, and we want everyone to have access. So this is not gated. This is a free product that we have developed and put out there for you guys, and it is, take advantage of it. There's no charge for it, and we're excited to bring it to the
minor detail.
So no charge for the course and for these webinars and the certifications. All right, well, I don't see any questions in the chats, so final call. I guess we're going to wrap it up there then with no questions in the chats. Once again, thank you on behalf of Property Management University and Blanket. We are so happy to have had you here for a few minutes today, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next 2 sessions. So just a quick reminder, on the 18th and the 25th, as we go through part 2 and part 3. Okay, so once again, thank you all for attending, and look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
Thank you, guys.
All right.